Hey guys, this is Josh the Top Hat Gamer, and this week I'm reviewing Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris is the second game in Crystal Dynamics series to have dropped the Tomb Raider title after Guardian of Light was released 5 years ago. The game begins with Lara and a rival archaeologist by the name of Carter working their way through a tomb in Egypt. Reaching their goal causes them both to be cursed by the gods Set, but also releases the gods Horus and Isis to aid them. It is then revealed that the god Osiris has been killed and his various body parts scattered throughout his sprawling temple. It's up to Lara, Carter, and the newly released gods to reunite the pieces of Osiris, defeat Set, and remove his curse. The story is interesting and uses elements from Egyptian myths to great effect. Set's control over elements and other gods is a cool way to set up progression blocks and boss fights, and having Horus and Isis join you on your journey is humorous, if a little strange. They often get played as fish out of water. For instance, Horus inquires about Greece, referring to it as an upstart nation at one point. It gives them a bit more to do, aside from being straight-faced deity. The game looks fairly good and runs fairly well. In lieu of cutscenes, it uses static images which are well drawn but aren't utilized often enough for my liking. I found the locations all looked far too similar, and aside from some enemy types later in the game, for the majority you're just fighting the same basic skeletons. There's not much visual variety, but the game is also not very long, so the repetition is far less noticeable. As for the music, it's about what you'd expect from your standard adventure game. Plenty of up-tempo strings and brass during the more exciting moments, and much more quiet melodies during the downtime. Nothing really special to write home about though. Players of the previous game will find the gameplay of Temple of Osiris very familiar. Its isometric view and focus on cooperative multiplayer is carried over, with 2 extra players available, and the way it handles scaling puzzles between multi and single player is exactly the same. The 2 archaeologist characters have grappling hooks at their disposal, which allow you to access higher areas. The gods, on the other hand, are able to tightrope walk up their grappling lines, and they can also create personal shields. I have no idea what they use the shields for. I played a small part of the game with another person and found the archaeologist's abilities far more helpful. With that in mind, the gameplay is never very difficult, and in my entire playthrough I don't recall ever being stumped. Your puzzles range from pushing balls onto buttons, directing light through mirrors, and occasionally you'll use your bombs for some timed switch activation. The puzzles are mildly entertaining, but they get very old very quickly. Occasionally the game will combine any of the previously mentioned elements, or they'll just throw some enemies in to annoy you as you go. The combat is also not particularly difficult, and despite the range of weaponry and upgrades the game allows you, there's very little variety or nuance to it. You're given machine guns, rifles, and explosive weapons, but your pistols are generally effective and require no ammo, and sometimes the best solution is to use your unlimited remote mines. In the end, combat devolves into shooting things as they slowly approach you, and when they finally reach you, roll past them and then drop a mine to finish them off. How heroic. Rounding out the gameplay is some basic platforming. Navigating the environment is simple, but it has to be said, leaping from crumbling platforms or running away from a giant crocodile bear is fun and rewarding when you do it right. And yes, I did say crocodile bear. Like, half crocodile, half bear, this thing. Easily the most memorable parts of the game are the boss fights, which, with the exception of the lackluster finale, are exciting and keep you on your toes. They're definitely the most difficult parts of the game, which isn't saying much, but the awesome boss designs keep them at the forefront of my mind. I'm not really feeling this one. While its simple puzzle design and combat mechanics are enjoyable for a while, if you're in for the long haul, the lack of challenge or any meaningful variety will probably fail to maintain interest. To its credit, the game's visuals and soundtrack, while very much by the book, do help instill a good sense of adventure, and I can't deny that the use of Egyptian mythology doesn't provide the game with some excellent moments. Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris gets the Top Hat Gamer rating of mediocre. It's entertaining in short bursts, but the gameplay starts feeling like a chore after a while. While its presentation is kind of cliche, it delivers it well, and the game is not without some memorable moments. If you want a quick 4-player co-op game, take a look at this one. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother.